So we'll start our today's session. So good morning, and you're online or you come regularly? Online you connect? Okay, some network issue was not able, it got disconnected. Okay, so some previous year question paper regarding, I have shared some questions. So did you have some time to look into those questions, and the solutions also I have shared. So whether you had some time or you have any doubt regarding that. So before let's enter, everybody connects, we will go in 5 minutes, we will discuss on those questions and then come back to this session. So I'm sharing my screen of those questions. So you are all able to see my screen, right? So this question has been asked in recent December 2023, and this is regarding the services, exempted services. So we'll have a look for 5 minutes. Let's say everybody connects also. So you may recollect what we have discussed and what I have shared in the last week. So examine with any doubt, or if you are looking into these questions and solutions for your references, or if you want me to add additional points or still not clear, please reply me, because I am not sure whether everybody is referring or whether this helps you all. So we will read this question and we will discuss this first, and then we will go back to our regular session. Examine with brief reasons which person is liable to pay GST in the following independent cases, where the supplier and the recipient both are located in the taxable territory. Ignore the aggregate turnover and exemption available. So the first one is, so from this question, what we need to answer here is, who is liable to pay tax? So we have seen section 9 subsection 3 related to reverse charge. So there are for reverse charge we have goods, we have services also. So what type of transactions are related to reverse charge? That means who receives the services. Say, so we'll see this first question, so you will get a better understanding. Ram is an insurance agent registered under GST, received commission of 12 lakhs from insurance company, registered under GST. So he is an agent, he provides services to insurance company. So who is the receiver of the services? Insurance company. And Ram, who provides the services. So generally, normal transactions, who pays GST? So whoever supplies services or taxable goods, they pay the GST. Here in this first point, Ram, insurance agent. So this agent, he is providing services to insurance company. So as a normal layman, what we understand, how we will mention who pays GST. So if he is providing the service, then Ram will pay the GST. But what the section actually says, section 9 subsection 3. So we have to go back and refer it. Ram is an insurance agent, received commission. So we will go back to that section. Any services, that is services supplied by an insurance agent to any person carrying on insurance business. So who is the supplier of service? If the supplier is an insurance agent, then who is the recipient of the service? They are liable to pay GST. So any person carrying on insurance business located in the taxable territory. So this yellow highlighted, this is only for our reference. So the supplier is an insurance agent, and if he provide the services to insurance company, then the insurance company is liable to pay GST. That is reverse charge. So how we need to present in our exam? GST on services supplied by an insurance agent carrying on insurance business located in the taxable territory is payable on reverse charge basis. So in this given case, the person who is liable to pay GST is the recipient of business. So whoever receives that services is the liable to pay GST. So here in this particular case, the insurance company is liable to pay GST. So we'll go to the next scenario also. This is asked in our December 23. So we have to see, because goods are very few, say some 9 types of goods. So but services we have to take some care and we have to spend some time. Then second case, Shyam, a business facilitator. He received commission of 1,95,000 for the services provided to the urban branch of a nationalized bank with respect to savings banks accounts. So he is a business facilitator, again like an agent only, and he also receives the commission. So the commission from whom he received, it is from the urban branch of nationalized bank. So wherever you see some terms which are not usual one, because it's not necessary that they have to mention urban branch. So you have to see it carefully there. For the services provided to the urban branch of a nationalized bank with respect to savings bank accounts. So where you can see these services? So you have to refer our exempted services. You have to note there is an entry number 39, the services by the following persons. So who are the following persons? The first one is the business facilitator, and to a banking company to whom he provides the services. He provides services to banking company with respect to accounts in its rural area branch. So here in our question it is mentioned for urban area, but the exemption is only for rural area. So the services, so please know how to present services provided by business facilitator or correspondent to a banking company with respect to accounts in its rural area branch exempted from wide that is GST. So here the services in respect of urban area is taxable. So here what? The only rural area is exempted, but if the services he is providing to urban area, so it is taxable. taxable and not exempted. So the exempted services we will see in brief as well, but this is the repeated questions in the past years. We are looking into these types of questions, so you will get an idea about what we are learning from the GST. So the next case is, because services in the last class we have continuously on the theory only, there is no option, we have to study the theory as well. But so whether what we are learning, how we will be applying in examination, that is we have to see it. So this one again, one more one, that is Mohan, an independent director of XYZ Company Limited, received sitting fees amounting 1 lakh from XYZ Limited for attending board meetings. So he is an independent director and he is receiving the sitting fees. So again, it is an exempted service. Exempted means, I am not saying, here we need to mention who is liable to pay GST. See, here Mohan is independent director and he is receiving the fees from the company. So company has to pay GST or Mohan has to pay GST. That we have to see here. So GST on supply of services by director of a company to the said company located in the taxable territory is payable on reverse charge basis. So here in this case, the person who is liable to pay GST is the XYZ Company Limited. So he is providing the services. So the director is providing the services to the company. Generally what will happen, if I am rendering any services to you, I will raise invoice to you and I will pay GST. So in this particular case, director is rendering service and he is receiving the sitting fees from the company. So company has to pay sitting fees to the director and they have to pay GST to the department. So this we need to understand from the services related. So this director. So this section 9 subsection, this is the related to reverse charge mechanism. What we are seeing here is reverse charge. Under that, we have, as per the notifications from the department, who is liable to pay GST under these circumstances or under these scenarios. So even a few minutes back we have seen this as well. Say the insurance, for all insurance companies we have agent. So the agent takes care and he goes to the client places and he takes some clients for the insurance company's business. So insurance company pays some commission to the agent. So who is liable to pay GST? So why that insurance company pays? The agent is providing services to the insurance company. Generally, how you have, like a few minutes back you asked for the independent director why he is not paying GST. So here also the same case, agent is providing services to the insurance company. Normally the agent has to pay GST to the department, right? But as a reverse charge mechanism, clearly the section says under these circumstances agent is not liable. Whoever receiving the services, they are liable to pay GST. So there may be, here also you can see he is also a registered person, but still he is not liable to pay GST. The insurance company is liable to pay GST. So this, did you get any time the questions this I have shared in our WhatsApp group? You had any time to look after, or you didn't see these questions or what? Okay, fine, no problem. Still we have 1 month time. Whatever questions I am sharing on our groups, please have a look, and whenever you find time or you have any doubt, immediately you can share with me so I can discuss. Because this is not, GST is not so complicated and all. Whatever the main area we need to remember, that much is fine. So you can score good marks. So this is one thing which I have shared in in our group. So we will go back to the regular session, and then still so before that, last week we have discussed about composition scheme. So regarding the composition scheme as well, I have shared one question that is from Inter only. Because in a material we have not seen that type of questions, so that's why particularly I have shared. So we'll have a quick look on this composition scheme. This has recently asked in June 24. So what we understood from composition scheme in our last class, remember the threshold limit. Composition scheme is mainly for small business, who is running small business, or the small traders or the dealers. So we have to remember the threshold limit for the composition scheme. So what is the threshold limit? If the person is in special category state like Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura. If the person he is in special category states, the threshold limit is 75 lakhs. So if his threshold limit is 75, he can register and opt for the composition scheme. If the threshold limit is what? The aggregate turnover. We have to see his previous year's aggregate turnover. If the aggregate turnover is 1.5 crores, then more than 1.5 crores, then he has to go for normal registration. If it is less than or equal to 1.5, then he can opt for the composition scheme. So composition scheme means, please remember the threshold limit. So even the threshold limit again divided into two: special category states and the normal state. So now I will read this question. Mrs. This was seen in our last classes. Threshold limit is the aggregate turnover. So I am using it for final. If this type of question doubt you have, no, please ask me immediately, because final I use threshold limit, so I used to follow the same terms with you also. Suppose if you are not clear on that, because I don't know whether you are if you raise these types of questions, then I can able to clear you. So threshold limit is nothing but your aggregate turnover. So your previous years, what your income, that we call it as an aggregate turnover. We have a definition for aggregate turnover. What are the items needs to be considered as your turnover? What are the items needs to be excluded from your turnover? So now we will have this, then we will go back and see what is the meaning for aggregate turnover. So we will quickly have a look on this problem. So those who are in online, if the threshold limit is not clear, that is nothing but your aggregate turnover. We will see the definition also once again. So we will first see this problem because you feel the composition scheme or the GST is very complicated. So it is not like that, very simple only. The question, if you see, it looks some theoretical and looks like you take time to solve the problem. Here we will quickly see this problem. Mrs. Pooja running a fancy store and a footwear showroom is registered under GST. From the first line you need to understand both their business they are doing is related to goods. That is trader, like a trader running a fancy store and a footwear showroom. So in our composition scheme, majorly we divide the suppliers into like a businessman into like manufacturers, traders and services. Services also restaurant services, other services. These are our major four. Along with the threshold limit, you need to remember this as well. So now the Pooja, she is a trader now running fancy store and footwear showroom is registered under GST in same PAN in the state of Uttarakhand. Again, you need to remember whether it is a special category states or normal one. So she is in Uttarakhand. Then Uttarakhand means what is our threshold limit, which is 75 lakhs. Yes. And Mrs. Pooja not engaged in making any interstate supply. So there is no interstate transactions. Her aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year, that is 50 lakhs from fancy store and 45 lakhs from footwear. So we know only now currently we are clear with this. Like a composition scheme means you have threshold limit that needs to be divided into special category states, normal state. And here she is a trader and the place is Uttarakhand. So if she is Uttarakhand, then the previous year threshold limit should be 75 lakhs. So in the first line itself it is very clear. From fancy store her turnover is 50 lakhs and from footwear her turnover is 45 lakhs, which comes to 95 lakhs. So whether now she is eligible to register under composition scheme, so how her threshold limit is what? So now her business is fancy store plus footwear, total how much her threshold, her 95. So whether she is eligible for composition scheme, our threshold limit is 75, right? And now her business, if you see, it is exceeding 75 or less than 75. So she is not eligible for composition scheme. So that way you needed to mention there. Right? You are clear now? Yes. Good. So now our first question here is Mrs. Pooja eligible to opt composition scheme in the financial year 23-24? So you can make it as 24-25. So now the limit is same, there is no change. So in the first case you can see here for other aggregate turnover, if you see, does not exceed 150 lakhs. This is for all normal state, but our question here it is Uttarakhand. So the limit is 75 lakhs. So the registered person of Uttarakhand and her aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year does not exceed 75 lakhs, then she is eligible for payment, that is eligible to register under composition scheme. Now the turnover exceeds the limit, so she is not eligible to opt for the composition scheme. This is the first one. So it is simple, right? You are clear with this. So we will go to the second question. Whether it is possible for Mrs. Pooja to opt composition scheme only for fancy store and a normal scheme for footwear. So she is doing two different business and she wants to go for opt for one business under composition and opt for the other one under normal scheme. But if your PAN is registered for the single business, like Pooja's PAN, she has used for the registration for both the business. That means she is not eligible to opt for one business under normal, for the other business under composition. So here the same I mentioned, that is if she wants to register under composition scheme and the other business, that is not possible. Why? Because she has the same PAN only applicable for the other business as well. So Mrs. Pooja not eligible for composition scheme, only for fancy store and a normal scheme for footwear showroom. So this is also easy, right? So if we see along with, if I continuously talk on theory, then you will not able to focus, and that's why I just brought some sums also for your reference. She has to use other person's PAN to run the business and register separately. Yes, to like a two different business, right? So now, what is the third? This is the same only. We have the third section. Rework. If Mrs. Pooja is running a restaurant as well as fancy store, whether eligible for composition scheme, if aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year, that is 30 lakhs from fancy store and 35 lakhs from restaurant. So this also we know it, the threshold limit is 75 and now this is less than 75. She is eligible for the composition scheme. So this types of questions only will come for composition scheme. I think in our inter material only one problem is there as for our study. So please, whenever I share some repeated questions, have a look. It will be very simple. If you are not clear, you can reach me so I can explain as well. So this question, if you see, this has come for 7 marks. So it is very, very simple. Even if you have not gone in depth like ITC, that conditions and all, if you see only the basics also, you could able to score good in this. So we will go back to today's session. So I will share like this types of question, and this has been shared in our group as well. You can have a look. Yes. So you can have a look, and we will go back to our today's one, time of supply, right? So these are why I am not taking you again to the services, because services are generally theoretical. So you first you understand what you will learn from the GST aspects, then I will move on to the other areas also. So now today we will start with time of supply. So time of supply we have apart from our levy, collection of GST, these things. So why we want to learn about time of supply? So the time of supply means point in time when goods or services are considered supplied. That is, when the seller knows the time, it helps him identify the due date for payment of taxes. Say for example, this March month I raised a invoice and I supplied. Along with my invoice, I have sent the goods to my customer. For example, on March 3rd, I raised invoice, along with the invoice, I supplied the goods to my customer also. And again on March 30th, I raised one more invoice and I have sent the material to the customer along with invoice. So how you will what you will understand? So when your liability arises, when you have to pay the GST. So if you are raising the invoice, you are raising one invoice in March 3rd and another invoice in March 31st. So when exactly your liability arises, whether the goods also moved along with the invoice. So these critical things. Suppose company what they do, they supply the materials. If any request comes urgently, they supply the material immediately to the customer. And then they will raise the invoice separately after 2-3 days. So whether your liability arises against the movement of goods or when you raise the invoice, these types of complexities, we need everything has been clearly defined in the time of supply. So we will go one by one here. So you can I will also share this, so don't worry about this thing. So this time of supply, in order to calculate and discharge the tax liability, it is important to know the date when the tax liability arises, the date on which the charging event has occurred. In GST law, it is known as time of supply. So when actually you are liable to pay GST, that the deciding factor is the time of supply. So we'll see in this time of supply, we have two sections. So one is section 12, that is defined for time of supply for goods. The other one is for time of supply for services. So 12 we have, 13 we have, and below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are the subsections. So now we will see about the section 12 for the goods. The first one is the liability to pay tax on goods arise at the time of supply as per the provisions of the section. So that it is a normal one. There is nothing we need to take anything. So we'll go to the next one, which is the forward charge. Next one is reverse charge, and next one is supply of vouchers. 5 is other cases, and the last one is related to the time of supply, addition in the value of supply by way of interest, late fee, delayed payment of any consideration. So the last one, if you see, so generally how we pay tax, if you are running any company, when you raise the invoice, you pay the GST. The last factor which we are seeing here is you are charging some delayed fee. Say you raised the invoice to customer and the customer has not paid the payment within the due date. Say the customer has to pay before 30th April. But 30th April customer has not paid you, so you are charged. You told the customer that they have to pay along with the interest of 5,000. So that is not there in the invoice. So you have not paid GST for the 5,000 rupees because your invoice will be only for 1 lakh and the 5,000 is your additional for the late fee. So for the late fee, what is the due date to pay the GST? So these are the list one by one. For every transactions, we can see what is our due date to pay GST here. So currently we have not gone to that due date level, but normally due date is, for example, for the month of March, your due date to pay the GST is 20th of April. This is for all the normal registered persons. If you are a composition dealer, then your due date is quarterly basis. So for Jan, February and March, if you are a composition dealer, you have to pay GST 18th of April, on or before 18th April. If you are a normal registered person, then you have to pay GST every monthly basis, like following month. So for March month, 20th April. So April month will be your 20th May, in this way. Okay, now we will see for the forward charge. So for forward charge, I think still somebody is not clear about the forward charge means what, reverse charge means what. So there is some still some disputes are there. So we'll discuss about the forward charge. So the time of supply of goods. So if you are a forward charge person, means below I will explain this example. Like Mrs. A Limited, this is only for meaning of forward charge. A Limited supplies taxable goods to B Limited on 20th March. So now who is liable to pay GST? Who? B, no. A, whoever supplies. B pays to whom? Okay, B pays the to whom B pays? A. So it doesn't mean he is settling against the invoice. Okay. Now what I am asking is who is liable to pay GST to the department. So then A is liable to pay. See, if I am running a company, for example, in a month I raise some 100, 200 number of invoices. So for this April month, for all these 200 invoices, if all those are taxable, then I have to pay GST to the department by 20th May. Whether you pay me the settling the invoice or not, that is secondary. But when this is the time of supply. So when this liability arises to pay GST to the department, this is the forward charge. So forward charge is A Limited supplies taxable goods to B Limited. So if I ask you who is liable to pay GST here, A is liable to pay GST to the department. So if this is in the reverse charge means B will pay to the department. B will pay invoice price to A plus GST to the department. That is the reverse charge. So this is the difference you need to understand here. So now we will see if I am doing business on forward charge basis. So how we will identify your liability? What is your time of supply? Time of supply is nothing but when you are liable to pay GST. Okay. So wherever I say time of supply means when you are liable to pay GST to the department. Okay. So now under forward charge, so we'll see forward charge, how you identify your liability. That is how you identify your time of supply. So the first one is date of issue of invoice by the supplier. So first one is the when you are raising the invoice. Second one, the last date which he is required to issue the invoice. So the last day means what? For example, today is 27th of April. So I have some customer asked to deliver the goods on urgent basis. I send the material. Today is 27th April. I have not raised the invoice. On urgent basis I sent the material to supplier. So the last date on which I am required to issue the invoice means before 30th April I have to give the invoice to the customer. That is the last date. So now with the example, if we see, you will have a good idea now. So in this 2 points, the last one is mentioned as not relevant. It is nothing to do with our sections also, like date on which supplier receives the payment with respect to the supply, but within the bracket it is already given not relevant. So now you don't touch it. So otherwise these two also you may get confused. So the first one is your date of invoice, or the last date he is required to raise invoice, whichever is earlier will be your time of supply, means your liability arises. Okay, now we'll see the example, if any simple example is there. Yes, this simple example you can look into this one. So here from this you will have an idea about the time of supply. Okay, this is a simple example. K Private Limited supplies taxable goods to S Private Limited and the value is 2,50,000 on 23rd June. So when they have sent the taxable goods, you have sent the material on 23rd of June and you have raised the invoice when 25th of June. Payment and payment for the goods is made by Sutlej on, that is S Limited, on 15th of July. So the invoice is issued on 25th, but the date of issue of invoice, the taxable goods when you have sent, it is on 23rd of June and the date of issue of invoice is on 25th of the June. So your liability when it arises, whichever is earlier, that is your time of supply. Here which is earlier, 23rd June is the time of supply, that is your liability arises. So we'll see along with the I have composition dealer but not for this. So we have some after in our material also we have below some tax points are there. So the first one is the registered person who did not opt for the composition levy, the date of issue of invoice or the late to issue the invoice, therefore no GST. Okay, this point I'll explain for the first one. No for suppose if you get any advance from customers, you have not raised invoice, you have not supplied the goods, but you received advance from customer. So for that advance, are you liable to pay GST? So only when you are liable to pay GST if it is for services. If you received advances against services, then you are liable to pay GST. But if you receive advances against goods, so you want to supply some goods, but before that you received some advances from customers. So in that case, you don't want to take any, that is you are not liable to pay GST. So that is the important notification, the first point. No GST on advance received against supply of goods. So if it is services, however, for the supply of services, you are required to pay GST. So this is the first one for the tax point. And the second one, if you see, where the supplier of taxable goods receives amount up to 1,000 in excess of amount indicated in the tax invoice, the time of supply to the extent of such excess at the option of the said supplier. So this point, these are only theory only, it is there in our material. So if even if I read this continuously, no, you will not able to understand also, because it's only theoretical. So we will see with the example here. So the second point, it is related to the second one. Second one says, you raised invoice to me for 1,000 rupees, but I paid you 1,500. So the 500 is excess with you. So whether you will be paying GST on 500 or what is your option? Maybe if I am your continuous, that is regular customer, what is your option? Maybe in the second invoice you will go for adjusting. Or if I am not your regular customer, maybe you will be refunding, or whether what action you need to take, whether GST is whether you are liable to pay GST, or whether you is going to refund, or whether you will be able to adjusting in the subsequent invoices. That is related to the second point. We will see with the example here. X and Co, a trader, receives advance 2,500. So I think not this one. Yeah, see this one, sorry, where the supplier of taxable goods. So here an amount up to 1,000 in excess of the amount indicated on the tax invoice. So the time of supply is date of issue of invoice or date of receipt of payment at the option of the supplier. So what is the date of issuing you the invoice or the date of receipt of payment at the option? So it is your option whether you will be able to adjust. You can adjust against the subsequent invoices. If you want to pay GST, you can pay GST for the excess amount. It is the option of the supplier. So here the example is there. If supplier of goods received amount 1,500 against invoice 1,100. So you raised invoice for 1,100 and I paid you 1,500 on 25th July 24, and the date of invoice of next supply is 14th August. So it means I will be a regular customer. You will be invoicing for the next for my next invoice is due on 14th of August. So what is the time of supply of goods and what is the due date of payment of tax? So here the time of supply is for 1,100 only. So the regular, if you see the payment received against the invoice 25th July and our next supply is on 14th August. So your due date of payment is, if it is 25th July, on 25th July you received the payment. So that is you raised the invoice. So for that the due date is on 20th August. So if my next invoice is, when you are going to raise my next invoice 14th August. So if it is on 14th August, your due date for payment of taxes 20th September. So what you will do, the excess of 400 rupees you will adjust against the next invoice which is on 14th August. So this point is related to the second one, and the third one is date on which a supplier received. This one only we have seen here, which is not relevant, but understand the meaning of what is supplier receives payment. The date on which supplier receives payment shall be date on which payment entered in the books of account or date payment credited to the bank account, whichever is earlier. So you need to understand clearly here. So date of payment means what will be your understanding. So today is 27th August. If I am making you payment, you received the payment, that is the date of payment, 27th. So here what exactly as per taxation GST related. So 27th I am making payment to him. So he also taken into books of account that he received payment from me. That is on 27th April. But actually in your account, when my amount got credited, which is on 29th of April. So this is the difference. The date payment is entered in the books of accounts. So you thought that I am making the payment and immediately you are taken into your books also. You have considered in the books. But actually when that amount got credited in your account, 29th of April. So this is the difference here. So whichever is earlier, that date is we need to consider for our calculation. So the date on which supplier receives the payment shall be the date on which payment is entered into books of account, or the date payment credited in his bank account, whichever is earlier. That is about the date of receipt of payment. So I think I have one example or what. So yes, you can just simple example like A Limited made payment to B Limited, that is on 20th March. But actually when it got credited in his account, 22nd of March. So here whichever date earlier if we should consider, when he has taken the entry in the books of account, that date is important, whichever is earlier. Now for goods purpose it is not relevant, but I will tell you where we are considering this date of receipt of payment. Sure. So we will have a simple example here for this time of supply. X & Co, a trader, receives advance of 2,500 on 29th November. So advance on goods. So whether we need to consider, so we should be careful, no GST on advance received against supply of goods. What? So you have not received the material. So you have for your order, you just received the advance amount from your customer, but you have not started, you have not received, or you have you want to make that is manufacture your products. So nothing to do with your suppose you may not able to finish it, so your order may get cancelled also. So you are not liable to pay GST on the advance amount generally. So if it is for the service related, then we have to pay the GST. So that is the difference in the related to the advance. So here X & Co, a trader, receives advance of 2,500 on 29th of November. For the goods worth 10,000. So that goods worth is 10,000 and you received advances 2,500. When you will be supplying the 10,000 worth of goods, you are going to supply in Jan 2025. But when you received the advance, you received it on 29th of November. So generally what you will do, 29th November if you received it, then you will be paying tax by 20th of December. But this is not the case for advances against supply of goods. So we have to see what is the time of supply. So the time of supply here is January 2025 because the date is not mentioned. So when your liability arises, that is on Jan 2025. So you will be supplying the goods worth of 10,000 to your customer in the month of January 25. So time of supply means when your liability arises, the liability arises in the month of January 25. So February you pay the liability amount, that is on you are making the payment, that's all. So the next one is what is the due date for the liability. This is so when you are reading this question also you have to see whether it is asked for a composition dealer or for a normal registered dealer. So here they have clearly given it is for composition dealer. So the liability, due date of liability is when? Quarterly it is. So quarterly means 18th April 25 you will be paying the GST. For what amount you will be paying GST? 10,000. Perfect. So on 10,000 you pay GST here. So what here again you have not given the percentage of GST rate. So from the question you need to understand they are supplying the taxable goods. So he is a manufacturer. So the GST percentage is 1%. So 0.5 for CGST, 0.5 for SGST. So 50 rupees, 50 rupees. This in case of composition dealer. So the next case, the similar one like for the normal registered person. But you should see the difference in the question also. The first one is they have asked here normal, general, like what is the time of supply. If I go back here to the next question, X & Co receives advance 2,500 and the same only goods worth 10,000 to be supplied in the month of September 24. Okay. Here first question is what is the time of supply in the month of July. So do we have any liability in the month of July for us? Suppose you received only advance and you are going to raise invoice only in September. So for the first question, the value of supply of goods in the month of July. So only we received advance, there is no time of supply. So the next case, due date of tax liability for the month of July. So due date we can give, but here for us nothing is due. So the no due date for the month of July in the given case. So this difference you need to understand for the first point here for the composition levy for the normal person. Okay. So now we have seen about our forward charge. So this also one additional point here. So when you start working also you can see in all companies tax invoice, they mention it is under section 31. The invoice raised under section 31 means the supply involves that it covers all the normal provisions. The supply involves movement of goods and it is removed as per the agreed terms from the customers. So these are the general provisions here. In this, see these previous examples just because in our material, intermaterial it is not there. So in final we have. So for your understanding only I am just sharing. Okay. Because if again this is if you see continuous theory only, then I have to continue with theory. So to avoid it I just added little examples here. but that will help you to understand the concepts. So now we are into this continuous supply of goods. So what is the continuous supply of goods? In case of continuous supply of goods, where successive statement of accounts or successive payments are involved, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time each such statement is issued. So I just taken for continuous supply of goods, the time of supply, time when each statement is issued, or time when each payment is received, whichever is earlier. So I checked whether any examples are there. Even in final we don't have. For services we have. This continuous supply of goods means like IOC, which is supplying petrols. There is a pipeline, so continuously where there is supplying the goods. So these types of transactions. But here for Inter we don't have major. So just for understanding, time when each statement is issued or time when each payment is received, whichever is earlier. So in this, the last one we will see, where the very important here, where the goods being sent or taken on approval for sale or return or removed before the supply takes place, the invoices shall be issued before or at the time of supply or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So I just read this point 3. We'll see how we are going to calculate or how we are going to identify the liability for those types of transactions. So goods sent for approval. So what is the time of supply? Time when it becomes known that supply is taken place. Suppose you are saying me that I am sending you the material today. So I tell you like, okay, today you send. Otherwise, so you send me after 1 week. So that approval is required. So the time when it becomes known that supply is taken place or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So that will be your time of supply. This is a new one, that 6 months. So it will be difficult for you. So time when it becomes known that the supply is taken place or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. This only this much has given in our material. So you have to see this example to understand what is that time of supply here. Mr. A registered person under GST, sends goods to Mr. B. He is also a registered person on approval basis. So here you need to see, because if not clear on approval basis, we can see it from this example. He is sending the goods to Mr. B on approval basis on 20th January 2025. So what is our thumb rule for the goods sent on approval? Time when it becomes known that supply is taken place or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So first case, for the first one, if Mr. B accepts the goods on 10th February 2025. So when he has sent the material, that is, if B accepts on 10th February 2025. So if they are accepting on 10th, then we have to see when the liability arises. Mr. B accepts on 10th February. So we know our thumb rule here. Time when it becomes known supply taken place. So when the supply has taken place, he accepts. So the 10th of February or The other one is what? 6 months from the date of removal. How you will calculate the 6 months? From the date of removal is 20th January. So 20th January till 6 months you have to calculate, it is 20th July. So whichever is earlier, so it is on 10th February 25. So now we will see the second scenario. If B accepts the goods on 1st September 25, so it is 1st September. So in that case, what is the due date we have to consider? It is first day after the expiry of 6 months from the date of removal. So we have already calculated, that comes to 20th July. So if he is accepting 1st September, so 1st September means what? It is more than 6 months, right? So more than 6 months if it crosses, then you need to calculate first day after the expiry of 6 months. So that is on 21st of July. So that second case. So if not clear, please let me know. In the third case, B returns the goods on 10th February. So he is again returning the goods on 10th February. So in that case, if he is returning, there is nothing applicable. The goods are returned within a period of 6 months from the date of dispatch. So nothing to your liability arises. Then the next case is B returns after 6 months. So these are very important to you also. Like whenever you purchase from any of your supplier, if you identified something issue is there, the return should happen within a period of 6 months. The same concepts only here also we are seeing. If Mr. B return the goods on 1st of September, so your period of 6 months time limit is over now. So now what we have to, for whom the liability arises. So the GST will be payable as the return is after 6 months. Both Mr. A and Mr. B both are liable to pay GST. So you have to see the different scenarios. Like if you are accepting before the period of 6 months, then what is your time of supply? If you accept the goods after 6 months period, so what is your time of supply? So these the first, at least if the return is not clear, please understand the concepts of the first two, because that is very important. So the sale or return removed before the supply takes place, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time of supply or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. So this is very important here. So calculating the 6 months period, please carefully calculate that time period and all. Okay. So this again in our from our material only. So what is the time of supply? How we will be calculating the time of supply? So the supply involves movement of goods, that is earlier of the following. If you are supplying along with the goods, that is yes here. The one where you are seeing yes is nothing but supply involves movement of goods. So you are moving the goods to your customer along with your goods, invoice plus goods. Then earlier of the following means date of issue of invoice or date of removal of goods for supply. So whichever is earlier, that is your time of supply. Then if it is not involving the movement of goods, then you have to see date of issue of invoice or date of delivery of goods or making available to the recipient. So now the terms may be little difficult. We'll see with this example to understand what is the date of issue of invoice and the removal of goods. So see, for the in this case you are seeing five number of different scenarios. Issue that is, first one is invoice issued on and removal of goods for supply, then goods made available on and the payment received. Now don't look into the last column. First see the first four columns. So when you are raising the invoice, you are raising invoice on 15th of April. So when you are supplying the goods to the customer, you are sending the goods to the customer on 20th of April. So when the goods made available on, so when the goods are ready, it is on 20th April. So against that, when you are receiving the payment, 19th of April. So you will be giving different when the invoice is raised, when the goods are supplied, and when the removal has happened. These types of different things you will be given with the different dates. From the different dates, you need to plot what is the due date, when your time of supply, that is when you are liable to pay GST. Say in this first scenario, I raised the invoice on 15th of April, but when I am sending the goods to my customer, 20th of April, but I received the payment on 19th of April. So when I have to pay the GST in the first scenario, so whether payment or whether on the goods removed or whether on the date of invoice, always we need to consider here date of issue of invoice or date of removal of goods for supply, whichever is earlier, that will be your time of supply. So see here in the first scenario, what is the date of invoice? The date of invoice is 15th April. So the next one is what? Date of removal of goods for supply. So when we are removing the goods, which is on 20th April. So whichever is earlier, 15th April. So your liability arises on 15th April itself. So that is your time of supply. So now into the next scenario, I think so in the next scenario, if you see here, the invoice is issued on when? 15th of May, correct? So when you are removing, so my customer wants the material urgently, I have removed from the factory, so I am sending the goods. By when I am sending? 20th April, I send the goods to my customer, but when I am raising the invoice for that, May 24. So generally if you see the first transaction and the second transaction, what you will do for the first case, you raised invoice on 15th of April and you removed the goods on 20th of April. So whichever is earlier, so 15th April. So in the same thing only will be applicable here as well. So you raised invoice on 15th May, you removed goods on 20th April. So whichever is earlier, your liability arises. So here 20th April. So you have to remember this, otherwise no, you will miss it. So whichever is early, you will mention regularly like 15th May, you write it as your liability. Like time of supply, you may consider as 15th May. But the scenario here, you need to understand both the things. Now on the second next case, the invoice is issued on 15th of April and the goods made available on 20th April. So the removal, if you see, which is nothing has given, and the goods made available on 20th April, and you received payment. So whenever you see for goods, don't look into the payment currently, because as in our instruction also given, which is not relevant currently. So now in the second case, you raised invoice when 15th April. So maximum within how many days you at least you need to remove the material also by 15th May. So if you are raising invoice by 15th April, you should also send your material also by 15th April. So here it is given not applicable. So but your whatever the whichever is earlier, if you see, so the date of issue of invoice is earlier. So it is 15th April. So the now into the second case now. Second case, first one is May month, second one not applicable, third one you are very clear, goods made available on. So you have to see, so when our customer wants, that is goods made available on 20th of April. So our side the goods are ready for delivery, that is on 20th April. So that is our liability arises on 20th April. So now into the last part. The last one is 15th April, 20th April. So this is the regular one. This they have given to confuse the 19th March here. If you see the payment received on, it is 19th March. So whenever you find whichever is earlier, so on hurry you may consider 19th March sometimes. So for goods purpose, you should not look into this last column. So you always look into the invoice raised and the goods removal date only. So it is 15th April 24. So these are the different scenarios which are given here. Yes, this is also from our the material. You can see there. Ramesh invoices. Ramesh issues an invoice 54,200 for supply of goods on 10th April 24. So this is related to the excess which we have discussed. So when they have raised the invoice, 10th April, right, and for the invoices raised for value 54,200. So against 54,200, what is the amount he has received, which is 55,000 in his net through NEFT, and credited in the books, that is on 11th April 23. So this I think 24, it should be, by mistake it is 23. Determine the time of supply of goods and time of supply of excess receipts. So you need to find out for the normal one, which is 54,200, what is your time of supply, and for the excess amount, what is your time of supply. So now you see here what is the time of supply, how you will identify from here. First, if you want to mention, you will write it, time of supply of goods against 54,200, it is 10th of April. Second step will be excess of 800. So excess of 800, we know for the excess at the option of the supplier, we have seen it will, we need to adjust against the subsequent invoices. So the date of issuance of next invoice it will be. So that you need to mention. You don't want to give the exact date, you can mention it, issuance of next invoice. So the next one is the last question. If you see, how shall your answer differ if he received 75,000 instead of 55,000? So whether it is 800 rupees your excess amount or 20,800 is your excess amount, whatever it is, your time of supply will be date of issuance of next invoice. Why particularly they are asked 75,000 and 55,000? Because you can see in our material as well this particular point. In the tax point, the second one. So even the provision says, the section says here, an amount up to 1,000 in excess. So it doesn't mean it is here that it is given up to 1,000 only. So whether it is 1,000 or it is 75,000, our option will be date of issuance of next invoice. That you need to consider. So where we are now? So you are tired now? So we'll ask some questions or what? So this till this you are clear, right? Huh? So this is the answer in our material, in our study material, that he has received 20,800 in excess. Even in this situation, the time of supply, such excess amount shall be the date of invoices of next invoice, assuming excess will be adjusted in the said invoice. So we will see one more example. This is from our material, the related to the goods sent on approval basis. Okay, we will see this one, because whatever we have seen till now, we have seen focused mainly on date of issue of invoice or date of removal of goods, whichever is earlier, like that. Now this is related to goods sent on approval basis. So in that case, what is our rule here? Time when it becomes known that supply taken place, or 6 months from the date of removal. So you need to remember this point here. So we'll see this. Certain goods sent by X on sale of approval or return basis by to Mr. Y on 22nd April. The supply gets confirmed and invoice is issued. So when they have the goods are sent, it is on 22nd of April, and the supply they have accepted, but the cases are different. So I am giving my acceptance on 20th August in one case, and one more is on 22nd of November. Here we know here is 6 months from the date of removal. So 6 months that we should be careful in finding from which date it is. So you should not consider from 20th August. You should see when that goods are sent. So the goods are sent on 22nd April. So from 22nd April, what is 6 months? So that we need to calculate here. So I think I should mention here 22nd October, right? So here, I think 22nd April, right? It should be. So sure. So we will see the. You're saying something. Okay. So the case one here is 20th August. So 20th August means it is before the expiry of 6 months from the date of removal. So before the expiry of 6 months means it is on 22nd April, and the case one is 20th August here. So 20th August means before 6 months. So your time of supply will be 20th August. So in the second scenario, it is on 22nd of November. So 22nd of November means it is, I'll see the check the date once again, but you can see from here the confirmation happened after 6 months from the date of removal. The period of 6 months expired on 21st of October, and the invoice was required to be issued by this date, and the invoice was issued on 22nd of November. So I'll confirm for this date how we are confirming that on 21st of October. I'll check and confirm you back for the second case, which is 22nd November. So next one is the reverse charge. Till now we have seen only related to forward charge. Now we are into the reverse charge. So the reverse charge is, so the reverse charge we know it. So Mr. A, he is an unregistered person and he supplies goods to B. So who is liable to pay GST here? Mr. A, he is supplying goods to B, and who is liable to pay GST? B is liable to pay GST. That is the reverse charge basis. So now on reverse charge, again we need to calculate when your liability arises. So when you are due to pay the GST. For this we need to remember the date of receipt of goods or the date of payment entered in the books of account, or the date payment is debited in the bank account, and the last one is date immediately following 30 days from the date of issuance of invoice by whatever name follows. So this again in the reverse charge, I will show this whichever is earlier, this formula once again. Before that, you need to remember two things in the reverse charge basis. What are the 2 points you need to remember is where it is not possible to determine the time of supply. So your time of supply will be date of entry in the books of accounts. That is the normal case. So whenever you are not able to find the time of supply, so the date of entry in the books of accounts will be your time of supply. Second thing is very important here for the reverse charge. The reverse charge benefit of notification is not available. Means the notification 66/2017 is no GST on advance received against supply of goods. So till in the forward charge we have not considered about the advances which we received against the goods. So this exception is not there in case of reverse charge. So in reverse charge, even if you are receiving advances, you need to consider it. So we'll see in the examples. So this from our material 1, you can refer our study material as well. Mr. Amar supplies goods that is under reverse charge to Mr. Nath. So they have directly given here under reverse charge. You are required to determine the time of supply. Means when your tax liability arises. So that you need to remember. So first of April, Mr. Nath approaches Mr. Amar and places order. So these types of multiple dates which are given is for make us confused. So you will always see whichever is earlier date and you take the 1st April. So we should be very careful with the date. On 10th of April, Mr. Nath receives the goods. So when he is receiving the good on 10th April, when he is raising the invoice on 15th of April. So what is on 20th of April? Mr. Nath makes a payment by check and records in the books of accounts. So I told you in few minutes back that I paid you on 27th of April and you recorded in your books also. You passed that entry that you received my payment. But when it actually credited in your account, like after 2-3 days, same transaction here, Mr. Nath makes a payment by check on 20th of April. But when it is debited from Mr. Nath's bank account on 25th of April. So in this scenario, now we need to find the time of supply. So you have this listings here. So you should remember what is there in this listings. So first one is what? Date of receipt of goods. So see, when is the date of receipt of goods? 10th of April. So now going back, see, date of payment entered in the books of accounts of recipient. So when we have entered in our books on 20th April. So now the date payment debited in his bank account. So when it is debited in the bank account? 25th of April. So now only the important thing here, what is the fourth one? The date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice or any other document by whatever name. So you can see this first one only, the 31st day from the date of issuance of invoice by the supplier. So what is the 31st day? So you have to first see the date of issue of invoice, which is on 15th April. So plus 31 days. So what is the date? 16th May. So 16th May is for the last one. So 31st day from the date of issuance of invoice by the supplier. So 16th May. So whichever is earlier will be our time of supply. So which is earlier here? 10th April is earlier. So here there are two questions, two different scenarios we need to answer. So how shall your answer differ if the goods are received by Nath on 30th April 24? So instead of 10th April, you need to consider here 30th April. In that case, what is your time of supply? So if it is 30th April, so what is your time of supply? Then again the whichever is earlier will be the time. What is it? 20th April here, right? Yeah. So it is entirely different in both the scenarios. The first one is 10th April, if you raise invoice, what is your time of supply? And if you are raising the invoice on 30th April, what is your time of supply? So two different things you need to see it here. So here the one where you should be careful is the 31st day. 31st day from the date of issuance of invoice by the supplier. So you have to remember these 4 points. So very first, from the very first in the forward charge we are seeing date of issuance of invoice or date of removal of goods, whichever is earlier, and the goods sent on approval basis, that separately you need to remember the 6 months, the time period. And here we are into the reverse charge. So under reverse charge, what is your time of supply? So remember this 4 things in the time of supply. Here the payment is also needs to be considered. Why? That benefit of this notification is not applicable for the reverse charge. Yes. The next one we will see, very simple one here. Time of supply in case of voucher. So what does voucher means? The instrument where there is an obligation to accept as consideration or part consideration for supply of goods or services or both to the supplied or the identities of their potential suppliers, either indicated on the instrument itself or in related documentation. So voucher, you can see the meaning from here, but generally voucher means everybody will have an idea what is voucher. It's like a coupon, gift coupon, which you, wherever you make some purchase, you suppose if you receive some gift coupon. So for example, I run my some showroom and I am giving the gift coupon to you. So when that liability for me, the GST arises, that is important. So whether at the time of I give you the coupon, I have to pay GST, or whether you used that coupon with any of the shops or you used that coupon, that time my liability arises. So there are 2 different things in this particular case, that is time of supply in case of voucher. So what we have seen from the beginning, time of supply in case of forward charge, reverse charge. Now we are into voucher. So in voucher case, so we have seen here, if I give you the any gift coupons, so when the liability, so when I have to pay GST to the department. So in the voucher, there are 2 things we need to understand from this voucher. One is, if the supply is identifiable at the point voucher is issued. Say for example, in the showroom I am giving you the gift coupon, where you can use the gift coupon only for purchasing mobile. So this is identifiable. So now I have multiple cases. So I am giving you the coupon only and I am telling you whatever you want, electrical items, groceries, or whatever if you want to purchase, you can use this coupon. So that is in other cases, that falls into other cases. So in the first case, if the supply identifiable at the point at which voucher is issued, in that case your time of supply is the date of issue of voucher. If it is multiple purpose, so I don't know, if I give you the value only, for this 2000 rupees you can purchase whatever you want. So I don't know what you are going to purchase, whether you are going to buy grocery items, electrical items, so what, I am not sure of it. So in that scenario, the time of supply is the date of redemption of voucher. So when you are actually using that coupon, only then the liability arises. These are the very important to know in this voucher. It is very simple only. So we'll see here with example. So the time of supply is date of issue of voucher if you are able to identifiable. If the supplies not identifiable, the date of redemption of voucher. So we'll see with example for what you can get more idea what I'm sharing now. So now we'll see this illustration. So nothing from our final only, it is nothing outside. Reliable Industries a ready-made garment manufacturer issued a voucher when they are issuing 10th of July for to their prospective customer to buy ready-made garments manufactured by them. Okay, so we know it that coupon, if he is going to use it, he will buy only the ready-made garments. Customer purchased ready-made garments 20th of August. So what is our time of supply here? So correct. So date of issue of voucher. So you are able to identifiable at the point when you are giving the voucher. So it is 10th of July. So you get idea about this voucher. Good. So the next one here is this is actually it is not in our we have only theoretical only. You can refer our final also, so you will have confident on your concepts. The shoppers store a large retailer who sells various types of products like ready-made garment, jewelry, cosmetics, fabrics, shoes, etc. issued the voucher on 10th July 24. So the same example, but you can see here I am giving the voucher where you can use for multiple purposes. For enabling them to buy any product from their shop. So the customer purchased ready-made garments on 20th August. So now you need to see when your time of liability, time of supply arises. So it is on redemption date, right? When you are redempting, that is redemption of voucher is happening here on 20th August, exactly. So you need to, even if I stop with this, no, you will not be able to very clear what I am trying to explain. That's why I want to share some example for this. So date of issue of voucher where you can able to identify. If you are not able to identify, then you have to refer date of redemption of voucher. So this is other one, 12 subsection 5, where it is not possible to determine break. So wait, only one more, 12.6 we will stop, and then you can go for a break. Then we'll have services also, okay? So but today are you okay understanding the concepts? Because I understood many students not able to follow. Because only if you ask me like you asked today, threshold limit, aggregate turnover, no? So I can able to explain. So please ask me whatever doubts, at least I can refer and I can explain you if not immediately. So where it is not possible to determine the time of supply. So suppose if you have given any transaction and you are not able to identify what is the time of supply. In that scenario, you have to refer where a periodical return has to be filed, the date, return to be filed, and for any other case where the tax is paid. Only these two things you need to remember. So when you are filing the return, that date, or if you are not filing the return and you are paying the GST, in that case where you are paying the GST, that is your time of supply. So now we are into the last this in time of supply on goods. Okay, now we'll see this last one, the time of supply in case of enhancement in value on account of interest, late fee, etc. So here the time of supply, it relates to an addition in the value of supply by way of interest. So you are raising invoice for 1 lakh only, but additionally you are receiving from the customer like a late fee or interest. So the late fee or penalty for delayed payment of any consideration shall be the date supplier receives addition in value. So for example, I am raising you invoice for 5,000 rupees and you have not paid me before on or before the due date. So you are paying me 5,500. So for 5,000 already I paid to the GST department. So for this additional 500 rupees, what is the due date? So that is what is the time of supply that we are going to see here. So that small example here, Mrs. A Limited supplied taxable goods value 1 lakh and with a condition that within 30 days they have to pay, else 5,000 interest will be charged. So the A Limited, that is the due date is 1st of April, but A has not paid on 1st April and they paid on 25th of April with the interest 1,05,000. So the 1 lakh A Limited will pay on 20th of April and the 5,000 their liability arises. See, there is a difference. Your liability arises on 25th of April, the due date. But when you will be paying along with other payment in the next month, like 20th of May, you will be settling the payment to the department. But the liability arises on 25th of April. That is the difference you need to see. So this is the sum in our material. No. What I am trying to say here is for the 1 lakh invoice which I raised. So I raised invoice when? On 1st of March. So 20th April I paid the GST to the department for 1 lakh. So the differential amount, if you are paying me on 25th of April, so for that 5,000, for me the liability arises on 25th of April for the differential amount of 5,000. Then along with my other GST payable, I pay to the department on 20th of May. That is the difference here. So here you can see for the illustration from our material, Mr. Viswa enters into a contract for supply of goods worth 10 lakhs. So with Mr. Nath on 10th April 24. The goods removed with an invoice 12th April on 30th April for delivery to Mr. Nath. The terms of the contract demanded the payment against such a supply to be made within 60 days. So it has to be happened within 60 days, beyond which there will be a late payment of 20,000 will be charged. So Mr. Nath makes the payment of 10 lakhs along with the late payment. When he is making the payment? 15th of July. So the 15th, what will be the time of supply in respect of entire amount? So suppose if you consider both together like a 10 lakh 20,000, then you will make a mistake. So you divide 10 lakhs, what is the due date, and for 20,000, what is the due date? That is when your liability arises. So for the 10 lakhs, how you need to first find what is your time of supply, date of issuance of invoice or last date of issuance of invoice. So what is the date of issuance of invoice? That is on 12th April. So till when you can raise, because the delivery they were asking that the material should reach before 13th April. So the date of removal 13th April. So whichever is earlier is 12th April. So your liability arises on 12th of April. So the next case, when your late payment fees you are received on 15th July. So your liability arises on 15th July for the late fee of 20,000. So here, yes. So only this last one is there for this late fee related only. A Limited sold goods to B on 6th June with a condition interest 2% will be charged if B failed to make the payment within 50 days. Goods were delivered, also the invoice was issued on 6th June. B Limited paid the consideration on 6th July with applicable interest. So for the interest, what is the due date then when the liability arises? 6th July only, because B Limited paid the consideration for goods on 6th July. So 6th July will be your liability arises date. So till this I will stop. This is again the repeated of the previous one. So now 11:10, what time you will be back? So you will not come back? So you are understand today's session? Good. So we will go like multiple illustrations only. So please reach me wherever you are doubt, because I am giving you WhatsApp so many questions but nobody has come back. So please have a look and so 11:20 or 25? Sure, okay. So those who are in online, we'll connect again 11:25. So please, if you want to have a break, have a break. Sir, I want to show you for the composition scheme. You have seen my message on WhatsApp? No, I not shared recently, maybe 1 week before. The composition scheme, no, so you have said the questions are some, I will show you the questions, how they have asked for the composition scheme. You can see this one also. Yes. So this has been asked in June 24. This is the question for that composition scheme. So you are saying, so 15th means by May 15th you are asking, sir? Yes, but that's why in class I am not sharing. I took my, I think maybe 5-10 minutes. So, that's why I correct. That's why I stopped much theory today. Because in our material it's fully theory. If you see, no sir, there is no illustrations related to that initial part and all. It is continuous theory. So I've just taken from final only. So in final we have multiple examples. So that's why I just added. You can, the message which I am sharing, no, so you just have a look. So from your side, any comment is there, like you can add this thing. So I just can able to add some points in this. So I shared this. So we'll start with the small questions which was shared earlier. So till those who are physically present, they have gone for a break. Till the time they are back, so we will start with this small December 2024 exam question also. So after a break, we will start with this question. So then we will continue back to service. Okay, section 13. So this is in December 24 and again related to services. So my request, please have a look on this services. There are, I think, some 16 to 18 services are there. The repeated questions related to services. So we will quickly have a look for some 5-10 minutes, and then we will go back and continue our services. So those who are in online, I may not be able to hear. Please ping me on Teams if you have any doubt. So please let me know if you are not following on any point in this class, or on the group also I have sent the questions. Please have a look. So now we will see this question, and then we will go back to our time of supply. So state with reason the person liable to pay GST in each of the following independent cases. So first one is, if you see, this has been asked for 7 marks. The Money Save Bank Limited, located in Kolkata, appointed Shakshi as a recovery agent. So for collecting the outstanding balance amount of loan from its customers, and Ms. Sakshi provided the services for which the bank paid commission. Whether your answer will change if Shakshi provided recovery agent services to a car dealer company instead of Money Save Bank Limited. So this one question. So she acted as acting as an agent to Money Save Bank Limited. The second one, on the same scenario, instead of Money Save Bank, if she is providing the services to a car dealer company, in this scenario, who is liable to pay GST? Whether Shakshi is liable to pay GST? So someone has pinged me, the screen is little bit blur. So those who are in online, able to see my screen? So I have also shared on our groups. So those who are in online, others, are you able to see my screen clearly? Huh? Oh, okay. It's showing admit here. Okay. Visible. So I think someone who has pinged, the screen is visible, I heard, but you can refer our P7, our groups. This was shared on you can see on 16th April I have shared on the our groups. You may also please refer for the time being. We'll see this question. So for the first case, as a recovery agent. Wherever you are seeing here the recipient of service, meaning is in this, these are related to section 9 subsection 3. So it is the services on the reverse charge basis. So in this particular case, as a recovery agent, the services supplied by recovery agent to a banking company or financial institution or non-banking financial company. So in that case, who is liable to pay GST? The banking company or financial institution or non-banking financial company. They are liable to pay GST and not the recovery agent. If condition is if agent provided services to the banking company. So we'll see how to present our answer. So for the first case, the GST services supplied by recovery agent to a banking company or financial institution, it is payable under reverse charge. So in this given case, the person who is liable to pay GST is the Money Save Bank Limited, Kolkata. So the second scenario in the same question here is, if instead of providing services to Money Save Bank, if she provide service to the car dealer company, then who is liable to pay GST? So here again the services supplied by recovery agent to a car dealer, then GST is payable under forward charge by the service provider only. So the recovery agent here is Shakshi and she has to pay the GST. Then the second case, Mohit has taken a loan from Dhanvan Bank and for this he has taken a service of an individual, Mr. Prakash, who is a direct selling agent. Mostly if you see the previous year's question papers also, the recovery agent previously also we have seen as an independent director and business facilitator. These things only we have seen in the previous our question paper. So please focus on that. And this is also the same case, and he has taken the service of Mr. Prakash, who is a direct selling agent, and the bank paid commission to Mr. Prakash, 1% of loan granted to Mohit. In that scenario, now who is liable to pay GST? So the banking company or a non-banking, they are liable to pay GST for the services supplied by individual direct selling agent. So how we will be giving the solution in our exam? So the GST services supplied by an individual to a banking company or a non-banking financial company which is located in the taxable territory, it is payable under reverse charge. So the person who is liable to pay GST is the recipient of services. So in our case, who is receiving the service? The Dhanvan Bank. So they are getting the service from the agent, Mr. Prakash. So bank is liable to pay GST. So now we'll go back to our sir. Recovery agent you are saying, sir, that I will check for the limit. Currently we are saying only the recovery agent is liable. You are saying if the recovery agent is crossing the limit or so.
Screen is not visible.
Okay. Yeah, I will check and let you know. So because we also have questions like if they are the registered person under GST, like the direct selling agent, if he is a in previous illustration also which we have seen is registered only, but still the who is receiving the service, they are liable to pay GST. They have mentioned it. So even before you reach, no, so one more also we have seen. They in that scenario also in another post this I will share you that one. So we are going back to this our regular one. Okay. So we'll start with goods are done from our side. So please have a look on this goods related. We'll see the services now. So services are very easy because it's similar like goods only. So where there is a unique, we will see the and highlight it. So now previously the goods are related to section 12. Here it's not moving or what? Yes. So we'll see the services now, the time of supply of services. So till now we have seen about the goods. Now we are into services. So the goods are related to section 12 and 13 is related to time of supply of services. So for the services, if you see which one is easy. So I think you can refer this final the material, so it will be easy for you. For the how do we derive the time of supply? So the time of supply of services. So if you are issuing the invoice once you have provided the services, or if you are raising the invoice for service related, if it is less than or equal to 30 days from the supply of service, yes, then we have to go with date of issue of invoice or the date supplier receives payment. So the date of issue of invoice or the date supplier receives payment, whichever is earlier. If you are not issued the invoice from the supply of service, not issued invoice within 30 days, then date of provision of service or the date supplier receives payment, whichever is earlier. Less than or equal to 30 days, yes. So I provided the services and the invoice has to be raised within 30 days. Less than or equal to 30 days, I need to generate the invoice. So if I raised the invoice within a period of 30 days, then date of issue of invoice or date supplier receives payment, whichever is earlier. So if not done, that invoice not happened within a period of 30 days, then the date of provision of service or the date supplier receives the payment, whichever is earlier. So we'll see with examples, so you will have a more idea about it. So again, it is the repetitive one only, what we have seen in the goods, like continuous supply of goods, goods sent on or taken on approval basis. So the 1000 is there. So here we have multiple scenarios. You can understand from this what is the time of supply. So the first case, date of supply of service. So when you are providing the service, it is on 15th April. So when we are raising the invoice, 20th April. So comparing this, less than or equal to 30 days. So that we have confirmed. So what is the first one? If it is less than or equal to 30 days, date of issue of invoice or the date supplier receives payment. So supplier receives payment means, again you need to see here two things. So here first the date is when 15th April or 20th April. Date of issue of invoices 20th April. So the date supplier date supplier receives payment, that you need to check here. So how you will find that supplier receives payment, the date on which supplier receives payment? So again you need to see date of entering payment in books or date of credit payment in bank, whichever is earlier. So previously I have told, for the date of receipt of payment means you need to remember two things. So when you are booking the entry in the books and then actually credited in your bank account, so whichever is earlier, that is your date of supplier receives the payment. So here whichever is earlier, 22nd of April. So on this, whichever is earlier, date of issue of invoice, date payment received, so it is 20th April. Second scenario, so you have to see, first thing is whether what is the date service provided in the second case, 15th of April. So when the invoice is raised, 20th of May. So second case, 20th of May. So is it invoice raised within a period of 30 days? That you should see first here. So it does not happen within a period of 30 days. So then how we are going to apply? Date of provision of service or date supplier receives the payment, whichever is earlier. So what does mean by provision of service? So actually what is the date we provided the service? So that is 15th of April. So that is date of supply of service. So here the terms of different, but you should know it that date of provision of service means date of supply of service. So that is 15th of April, and here date of entering in payment entered in the books, credit actually happened. So whichever is earlier. So anyway it is 20th of April. So date of supply of services 15th of April. So what is your time of supply? 15th of April. I will repeat again the scenario 2. First you have to see 15th April and 20th May. So invoice was raised which has taken greater than 30 days. So if it is more than 30 days, you have to see the date of provision of service. So provision of service means here 15th of April. Then date supplier receives payment. So when he has received the payment, so both the date are same, 20th of April. So which date is earlier? If you see 15th April or 20th April, so 15th April is your time of supply. Now next scenario, like the first only, but here you should be careful in selecting the payment date. So like first scenario, we have supply of service and the date of issuance of invoice. So the date of issuance of invoice is less than 30 days. So first option is date of issue of invoice. So date of issue of invoice 20th April. Then second option here is what? Date supplier receives the payment. So you should be careful here. Supplier receives the payment. So in this two date, 18th April or 17th April, whichever is earlier, that is the supplier receives the payment. So which date is earlier? 17th April. Or here date of issue of invoice 20th April. So 20th April or 17th April, whichever is earlier, 17th April. Now next scenario, 15th April, supply of service, date of issue of invoice 20th April. So we are in which category again? Less than or equal to 30 days. So date of issue of invoice 20th April. So next one, supplier receives the payment, date on which supplier receives payment. So that means you need to see the two date here. 2nd April you entered in your books, but the payment actually credited in your account on 3rd April. In these two dates, whichever date is earlier, that date you need to consider. For which one? Date on which supplier receives payment. So here which date is earlier? 2nd April. So 2nd April will be our time of supply. Next, last scenario, our payment. For services, this advances we are considering. Na? If for services, you this point, yeah, yes. So when we have seen that first one, only for tax goods, there is, we are not going to consider no GST on advance, but if it is for services, we will be considering it. So the last scenario here, so if, it is not within the period of 30 days. So if it is not 30 days, then two things, date of provision of service. Provision of service is nothing but our supply of service. So date of supply of service is 15th of April. Then in these two dates, payment entered in the books and payment actually credited in our account, whichever is earlier, that is 1st of April. So your time of supply should be 1st of April. So if you refer this particular thing, then it will be easy for you to complete this problem. Otherwise, if you refer this, no, it is looks whichever is earlier, multiple steps are there. You can focus on this simple diagrammatic one. So here they have mentioned here, in case of banking, NBFC or insurer, it will be 45 days. Sir? No, actually it is not for intermaterial, it is there in final actually. Sir. I will share the same all presentations. Because if it is in this manner, it is something difficult. So this one is quite easy. If it is 30 days, you can see it from here. Sure. So we will move on to the next problem. Kedar provide consultancy services. So again, it is a service, and advance received 10,000 on 8th of April, and consultancy services are provided on 10th of April. So this consultancy services means what? Date of supply of service. Okay. So then Mr. Kedar receives balance payment rupees 40,000 and records in his books. So first payment he received, when we have received 10,000 on 8th of April, and the balance payment of 40,000 received on 16th of April. So that is recorded in the books. So how we are going to identify if the invoice is raised on 15th of April? If the invoice is raised on 15th of April and the services provided on 10th of April, means we are within the limit of 30 days. So if we are within the period of 30 days, then our formula is date of issue of invoice, date supplier receives the payment, whichever is earlier. So here on 16th only we are receiving the balance payment, the last payment. So it is on, if it is on 16th, so we have considered the time of supply is 15th of April. So the second case, if the invoice is raised on 15th of May. So 15th of May means we are crossing the limit of 30 days. So in that scenario, what is our time of supply? So time of supply will be date of provision of service or the date supplier receives the payment, whichever is earlier. So here again our provision of service is when? 10th of April. So our time of supply is 10th of April. So because your payment anyways it is on 16th of May. So your day it is whichever is earlier, if you consider, it is 10th of April. Okay. During investigation, it was found Mr. X provided catering services 1 lakhs to Mr. Y during his business convention. The payment for these services made in cash, neither issued any invoice nor recognized the payment in his books of accounts. Y recorded the payment of 1 lakh in cash on 28th April. What will be the time of supply? Here, apart from this 28th April, no dates as there, like invoice generated, when is the service provided, nothing is there. In that scenario, it will be 28th April only. So since the date of receipt of payment not available, the payment is recorded in the books of the recipient becomes relevant. Y recorded the time of supply will also be considered on 28th of April. So very simple one. So then we'll move on to the next problem here. A contract for supply of professional services entered for 10 lakhs for the period of 3 months on 20th July. On 16th August, the recipient informed the supplier he is not willing to receive any more services. This is a unique problem. Please listen that second line here. So here also this is also related to services, and the contract is for 3 months, and on 16th of August the recipient informed the supplier he is not willing to receive any more services under the contract. Both of them mutually agreed, and the services provided till date valued at rupees 3,50,000. So till date they have provided the services and the value is 3.5 lakhs, and then they have cancelled the contract. The invoice issued was 20th of August and the payment made by the recipient 25th of August. Here you are not able to find what is the it is mentioned till date we have given the services for 3,50,000, and in the middle they have mentioned the recipient informed the supplier he is not willing to receive any more services under the contract. So your supply of services stopped on the date of agreed that you have cancelled it. When it is stopped, 16th of August, means you should have raised your invoice on or before 16th August, but you raised invoice when 20th of August. So the time of supply means your liability arises on 16th of August and not on 20th of August. This you should be very clear, because this is a unique type of problem. So generally what we do, when he raised the invoice, we see when he has raised the invoice. Here the invoice was raised on 20th of August and the payment was made by the recipient on 25th of August. So we generally see the date of issuance of invoice, date of payment. But here your contract itself is closed. So that means you should have raised the invoice when this was mutually agreed by 16th. But your side, your raised invoice on 20th of August, it doesn't mean that your time of supply is 20th. It should be 16th August. Whichever is earlier. So I have no space to type, so I just kept whichever is earlier. The invoice raised is 16th August and the date is 25th. So whichever is earlier is 16th August. So this one. So now we have seen for the services forward charges. Now we are into reverse charge. So reverse charge, even in our previously we have seen for goods, same way we have here also multiple things which we need to look into the line, what are the services, when the actual services and the date we have to see. So we'll go with along with illustration, then it will be easy. So this one is the supply of services which is under reverse charge basis. So 10th of April the services are provided and 12th April they have raised the invoice, and 10th July the payment made by Nath through a check, and 15th of July the payment debited into his account. And what will be the time of supply? So here itself it is mentioned, it is for as a reverse charge basis. So now I am moving here. So the date of payment entered in the books of account of the recipient. So what is the date of payment entered? 10th of July. The payment is made by Mr. Nath. So the date of payment is 10th of July. So second one, date payment debited in his bank account. So when it has debited? 15th of July. Next one is the date immediately following 60 days from the date of issue of invoice or any other document by whatever name called, in case invoice required to be issued by the supplier. So in our case, who issued the invoice? By the supplier, Mr. Ram. So here what we need to do? 60 days. That is the date immediately following 60 days means the 61st day from the date of issuance of invoice. So while calculating the number of days, please you need to add plus 1. So that number of days, even for the goods also we have considered 31. Same way here in services 61 days. So in this case 12th of April is the date of invoice plus 61 days, it comes to 12th June. So 61st day from the date of issuance of invoices 12th of June. So whichever is earlier, it is 12th June. So this is for the reverse charge. So the thing you need to remember here is the date of payment, date actually credited into your account, and the date of invoice plus 61 days. I think this is also similar one. The next example, the services provided to Mr. Nath the 10th of this and 12th October invoice is raised, and the 10th of March the payment has been made, that is recorded in the books, and 15th of March it is credited in the account. So now again we should follow the same steps. So if you don't want to miss any of the listings, once you thorough of this, when you start writing, you mention all these tips. The date of payment entered in the books of account, date payment debited in his bank account, and the date immediately following 60 days, that is 61st day from the date of issuance of invoice. So here also the 10th of March, then 15th of March, then 61st day means date of invoice is 12th of October, from that 61st day which is 12th of December. So whichever date is earlier, so 12th of December. So it's only simple thing is you need to remember the, if it is related to services on a reverse charge basis, what are the items you need to consider, that is important. So here also we have section 13 subsection 4 for voucher, and you know it, if it is identifiable, so the date of issue of voucher, and the next one, if you are not, if it is for multiple cases, then redemption of voucher. And the 13.5 is residual, the date return is filed. If you don't file any date, the rate return is filed, and the date tax is paid. So these are common only, the 13.5. And the 13.6 is also the late fee related, and we have seen in the goods, so the same thing. So now we are into the other, in the time of supply, we have seen for goods, services, and this is the last one, that is change in rate of tax. So change in rate of tax means, say for example till 31st of January, for the product which we are manufacturing or we are providing the services, our GST liability is, that is whenever we raise invoice, our invoice we generally raised for 18% GST, and with the effect from 1st of February we received a notification there is a change in the rate of tax, and for this types of services the GST is only 5%. So if we are in the middle, like I have already provided the services to my customer, now pending is I need to raise the invoice. I provided the services, now I need to raise the invoice. So my invoice should be with 18% or with 12%. There is a contradictory here. So I have received the advance also from the customer. It is for 18 when we have provisional invoice, if we have shared, it is I have considered 18% GST. Now after I providing the services, there is a notification, you should consider the GST 12%. So in that scenario, whether I should go with 18% GST or I should opt for 12% GST. So this is related to section 14. So here I have a simple thing, so you can also try this, which is in this last below. Change in rate of tax. So whenever you find any problem related to change in rate of tax, remember three things: issuance of invoice, supply of goods or services, or the receipt of payment. These are the three major items you need to remember. Out of these three, any two events which has happened prior to the that is in the old rate, that is, if I say from 1st February the GST has changed to 5%. So out of these three events, before 31st March, any of the two events has already happened. That means you need to opt with the old rate. If any of the two events has to happen after the GST rate, change in the rate, then it should be with the new rate. So in the material, shall we try that problem? Go to that problem. So what is the, if I change the screen, you may not be able to see. You can say, tell the date of issuance of invoice from the material. So what is the date of issuance of invoice? Illustration 23 or what? Okay, 23, right? Actually, I have not taken that illustration. I forgot, I think. Okay. So what is the date of issuance of invoice? April 25. 3rd April 22. So what is the supply of goods? Date of supply of goods or services? 25th March. So date of issue of invoice is 25th March and the service provided is also 25th March. 3rd April. Okay. So what before the so GST, what is the GST 12%. So that has happened with the effect from 1st of April. So first we know it, issuance of invoices on 3rd of April, right? And the supply of goods is on 25th March. What is the receipt of payment? When you have received the payment? 10th April. So two events which has happened after change in the rate, tax rate. So what is the GST rate applicable now? So the new rate. So you have to go with the new rate. So any two events after change in rate of tax, then you will be going with the new rate, right? So next scenario also we can try. Tell me the date, issuance of invoice, date of issuance of invoice. 29th March. So what is the date of supply? 25th March. So from this itself we can conclude it, because two events has happened before 1st April. So that means you have to see that side. Any two events before change in the rate of tax, then you have to consider old rate. So then old rate is applicable. It's working, right? So another scenario is there. You can try. So see the date of invoice. So two events happen prior to the change in the rate. So okay, he may be referring now second. Okay, this is second scenario. So two events has happened before change in the rate. So it is old rate. So third, what is the third scenario? Service provided, okay. 3rd April. So if it is 3rd April, then one more thing you need to check additionally. What is 31st? So 2 events has happened prior to change in the. So what is our GST in the rate? So that is matching, right? So then you can go with this. So this is the section 14. This will work for entire your workings now. So I think we have left with one problem, or we can see. So there you can see the multiple scenarios in a single line. Now that same, if it is given in this paragraph wise, so how we will how we can consider that change in the rate, new rate, or which rate we have to go with. So we will see this example. An online portal Best Info raises invoice for database access on 21st February. The payment made, so you can see the invoice raised on 21st February, payment received 25th February, and entered in the accounts, okay. So they encashes the DD and give access from 3rd of March. In the meanwhile, the rate is changed from 1st of March. So the date of invoice is on invoice raised 21st February, and the date of supply of goods, they give access to the database, or that is on 3rd of March. Then you can see the receipt date. So when you have received the payment, which is on 25th February. So you can see any 2 events before. So before means then you have to go with the old rate now. So this one will be very simple if you follow this one. So this is related to section 14. So today you are okay, you understood what we have seen. So those who are in online also, if you have any doubt, please let me know. So we have seen, just to summarize, time of supply, in that goods, services, change in rate. These are the 3 major one. Goods we have seen forward charge, reverse charge, voucher, and additionally that is goods sent on approval, and 1,000 rupees if you received in excess. So what action we need to take, and for the late or delayed payment, if you are charging any interest or additional fees, that is related to goods. Same scenario we have seen in services also. What you need to remember is what are the items you need to consider: date of issuance of invoice, or date of advance, or if you take the reverse charge, then that 61st day, that is very important. And if you are trying for the service related, then less than or equal to 30 days, then only you can able to compare. Otherwise, if you compare directly whichever is earlier, then it will not help you. So you need to see date of supply of services and date of actual invoice raised. So whether it is within less than or equal to 30 days, that you should be careful. So till this I'll stop, and so we'll continue or we'll stop here. So if you purchase, okay, for this credit card related, okay, so you have your credit card and you are purchasing. So on that, if it reverse charge means how you are saying? So GST means bank will pay on your behalf, you are saying? So you are asking like, No, not required. So you have this from the company credit card, right? No, nothing like that. So from company perspective, they may receive invoice, from the credit card company. So they will be paying along with the GST. Yes. So they anyway, if whatever we are spending, anyway they get the invoices from the bank, right? For the any credit card payment is due. So they will be paying along with the GST then. That's normal GSTs. So those who are in online, are you all okay with this session? You are understood, or you have any doubts? Mostly, sir, in simple case means companies GTA, goods transport agency, mostly whoever giving the supply, the goods transport. So they were unregistered dealers, mostly from them only we get it. So when we are trying to, from all the invoices, when it is booked, you will find for this cases, they will not have the GST number. So if they don't have the GST number, they are called as an unregistered dealer. Then we will be in the, for the GST working, we have to show that these are the services we have taken from the unregistered dealer, and we have to calculate the GST, and we need to pay the GST for those services. So we'll stop till here. Sure. So those who are in call, we'll stop till here, and the next class I will give you the meeting invite for the next class by when we can continue. So please have a look on these problems. If you are still facing any challenges, any issues in working on those problems, please let me know. We can discuss on those problems. And thank you all. Thank you so much.